Rock and roll has been embezzled in our history for as long as I can remember. It's an era and a style that will never be forgotten. Even the current generation of kids know who the Beatles and Elvis Presley are. And for us blokes, well, just the sight of a vintage Fender is enough to make us go weak at the knees, and that, my friends, is why I am so excited about today's destination. Rick's Vintage Guitars in King Street, Perth. Well, I may have lost my rock and roll haircut, but I haven't lost my eye for a good investment. And I'm here to find out if sinking my cash into a vintage guitar is the way to go. G'day, Rick. Nice to meet you, mate.
How are you, Ryan?
You might be surprised to discover that vintage guitars are much like fine pieces of artwork. Not only can they be hung on your wall and appreciated from afar, but they also prove to be a smart investment for one's future. Or at least, that's what Rick tells me. But the real question ticking over in my head is how much do I actually have to spend to invest in one of these little babies?
Investment guitars, or vintage guitars, can start anything from as low as maybe $600, $700 for a 1950s Hofner-style guitar, right through to premium investment, which is something like a 1959 Les Paul Standard, which is at $400,000. $400,000.
Right.
So anything in between.
Okay, so what you're saying to me, I've heard you use the word a couple of times, investment.
Yes.
I can go home and tell my missus that I can spend my investment money on a guitar?
Yes, not only can you invest in a guitar, it's a great investment, but you've got to buy the right type. We're talking here Les Pauls from the late 50s, or Fender Stratocasters from the 60s or very early 70s. And for example, we have a guitar here we've just sold. It's going to Sydney, and the chap has put it into his super fund. So you can put guitars into your super fund because they're classed as artworks now. So it's a great investment that way. Any
famous types walking this joint?
Yes. Just a few weeks ago, Johnny Diesel popped in, and also we sold guitars to Hank Marvin from the Shadows, Rick Springfield, Doug Feiger from the Knack, My Sharona, and also to Bruce Springsteen. We shipped the guitar off to the Hamptons for him. So yes, it's a very popular business.
Well, I reckon you're going to have to pick me one out, and I'll think about buying.
Okay, well, let's go down and have a look.
Okay, Rick, you're starting to convince me that it might just be a good nest egg for my retirement. But I'm no pro on the old guitar, so how do I know what to look for?
Well, I'd like to show you this one in particular. This is a beautiful Gibson 335 from the mid-60s. It features cherry colour, and it's absolutely mint condition, and it makes a beautiful collectible guitar. These sort of guitars are very desirable. It's what Clapton played. Chuck Berry played a very similar model, the 355 Deluxe model. But yes, it's just a beautiful, pristine condition Gibson ES 335. Very desirable, very collectible. And I'd also like to show you this particular one over here, which is a rare custom colour, 1969 Fender Stratocaster, in a beautiful coloured Dakota red. Again, a custom colour, very, very rare, extremely desirable, a very, very good investment. So it's just a great guitar, very similar to Hank's. Hank Marvin from the Shadows, he plays a Fiesta red. This is a Dakota red. So a beautiful guitar, very, very good investment.
Rick's got all the big guns here. Martin, Gretsch, Gibson, Rickenbacker, Fender Stratocasters, and more importantly, come a little closer, every price tag has a Sydney price and a cheaper local price. Rick's Guitars have been described as the most isolated vintage guitar shop in the world, and the only one of its kind in Perth. But that certainly hasn't held Rick back at all. He's still able to offer his customers some very rare and unusual pieces at fantastic prices, and his shop has since become Australia's #1 vintage guitar dealer. Not too bad for an apparently isolated city, hey? Well, I've forgotten who I'm trying to convince here, you guys or myself. Actually, I think I made up my mind the minute I stepped into this little slice of rock and roll paradise. Well, Rick's almost convinced me to buy a little investment, but 400,000 would buy me a nice little house. Nah. Bricks and mortar, who needs that when I could have my own slice of rock and roll history? Better wrap it for me, Rick.
The amazing and rugged Chiron four-wheel drive crew vehicle is proudly supplied by Ssangyong, WA.
For those longer trips, the Postcards crew choose WA's own airline, SkyWest.
Postcards WA, brought to you by Harvey Norman. There's a store near you.